I just shared my screen, Misha, while you're getting ready to chat. So let me know when you guys can see that.
Yes, we are good on this side. We can see your screen. So whenever you guys want to get started, we're just going to put ourselves on mute, but feel free to start when you're ready.
Great, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. I'll go ahead and kick it off. So good morning again, everybody. My name is Misha. I am the program director here at Dealer Inspire. I've been with the company for just shy of 2 years. I actually started my automotive digital career where you're sitting today in the Birmingham office. I'm actually from the area there. So it's fantastic to be spending some time with you guys today to show you this amazing product at Dealer Inspire, which is Conversations. I'm also joined by Mike Colaccio, who's our Vice President of National Sales. He'll be jumping in here in just a second to really take you through the nuts and bolts of Conversations, what differentiates us from the marketplace with a lot of the tool sets that are out there today, and what benefit this is going to bring to the program and especially dealers and ultimately the customers. So just to kick it off, Conversations really started off as a web chat product. We saw a lot of clients paying a lot of money for some pretty average chat products. So our amazing team of developers just decided to build our own tool. It started off as just chat. It's now a lot more than just chat. And really what it's going to do is allow dealers to message their customers where their customers are. And again, Mike is going to take you through some of these details and tool sets on some of the functionality integrations we have built in with things like Apple CarPlay and Facebook Marketplace as well. So without further ado, I'll kick it off to Mike and we'll get this started.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be going through, I don't want to PowerPoint you guys to death, and I'll go through some live stuff here, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask as I'm going through this. So as Misha said, I'm the VP of Sales over here at Dealer Inspire. My quick bio, I was at dealer.com for 8 years prior to coming over here to Dealer Inspire to help build up the sales team. So I'm very familiar with the Subaru program from my early days at dealer.com. I know that it's a very, very strong program that they have over at DDC, but we're excited to be a part of it in terms of the conversation side. So I'll just go over here and just, for the people that don't know who Dealer Inspire, just a few quick slides of who we are. So Dealer Inspire, based out of Naperville, we have right around 500-ish employees, and that number is growing every day. So super exciting, doing a lot of really cool stuff over here. You know, over 1,000 Google certifications within our employees there. 2,500 plus dealer partners, 21 OEM programs, 8 great teams, and then 5 great products that we have. And in terms of our partnership with you guys, obviously humbled to be partnered with you guys and you know, getting us into these programs, and we have a great partnership with Shift. So just at a high level, you know, as Misha said earlier in the call, in terms of how we build our technology, one of the things, and I think from my perspective, I think chat is a very integral part. If you look at the whole ecosystem, and you know, if we step outside of just looking at automotive in general, and if you look at how we build our software, you know, we want to build software that can touch the customer through the whole process. So again, not talking to you guys about websites today, but just to kind of give you how Dealer Inspire approaches our technology, is that we knew that chat was going to be one of the ways that people wanted to communicate. As Misha mentioned earlier, we want to talk with the consumers, you know, how they're comfortable where they're at, whether it's Facebook, whether it's text or video chats or anything like that. So we built our own chat platform, which is very interesting because we're actually one of the only website providers that built their own chat platform and then connected that to an online retailing platform, and that's integrated with our advertising platform. So it's a very, I think a lot of people in the website world kind of overlook how dynamic that one function is, and what Joe and team decided to do a long time ago was to make sure that we could build a communication platform, because we know how customers are on the website and form conversions are going down. It's just a different way to communicate with the dealership when they're actually on there browsing it. So, as I mentioned, and I'm going to hop into actually tool itself, but in terms of what a cool award that we won, if you take our chat tool and then you pair that in with our ad platform, if you just look at holistically how we approach and try and do things a little bit differently, we actually won the Mobile Innovation Award last year from Google in North America outside of automotive. So this encompassed all the companies within Google that submitted to this contest, and we actually won because we paired our chat platform with the ad extensions that could actually go drop right directly into an SMS communication, because we know that when consumers are on mobile, they want to communicate with the dealership primarily through text. So we can actually launch a text SMS communications right through conversations, which is really cool. And again, Google awarded us the Mobile Innovation Award. From the results that we saw, is a 32% increase in paid search leads, and then a 24% decrease in cost per lead, and a 75% of the customers gave us their contact info. So again, if you take a look at that, and how we take a look at it a little bit differently, is that we want to make sure that we can have connective tissue with some of our other platforms. So just a really cool function that we built out on the platform, and a lot of our users are leveraging this today. So what I'm going to do now is just hit on all the high-level features of conversations. And before I hop into this, do you guys have any questions on any of that stuff that I went over?
I think we're good. Is anybody else doing the integration with chat and SEM, or is that something that you guys are the only ones doing?
Great question. So we have. Sorry, I'm getting an echo.
Oh, hold on, I'll put it on mute.
Yeah, no worries. So in order to do that, you have to have an ad platform. So we have our own ad platform, Fuel. So to my knowledge, I'm not aware of anyone else doing that, because you have to control the ad units plus the SMS extension that's in there. So I think that's unique to us, but again, I'm not aware of anyone else in the industry doing that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. Awesome. So we'll get into some of the cool features that we have here. In terms of the inventory, that's primarily what customers are talking to us on. If they have questions on that, all of the inventory that we have is loaded up into our chat tool backend conversation. So we all have all the inventory is all free form search. And again, I'll show you guys this in the backend, but all the inventory is uploaded into the backend, so they can do a free form search, drag and drop, and share the inventory with the consumer. One of the other cool things that we have is that we have live video chat. So if anyone wants to do a vehicle walk around, or if they're not near the dealership and they wanted to get a quick video or walk them through a credit app or anything like that, we do have video chat functionality. So that's either on the desktop and or on the mobile app side. So we can go out and actually facilitate the video conversations. We have text messaging. So one of the things that we do a little bit differently on this is that we have both inbound and outbound SMS. So if you look at it from the service side, obviously we have all the compliance with the opt-in for SMS, but if you're advertising, everyone gets their own specific number, so they can actually communicate via text. But also when the customers come into the dealership, you can actually have a conversation with them or communicate them via outbound text. And what it does is it controls everything in a central platform for all of your communication. And we actually have some of our customers leveraging this for the outbound communication to actually drive reviews. So they take a small snippet a bit.ly URL to the review page, and then after the customers leave, they can add the customers in here and then actually send a text to them to actually drive reviews, because we know that outbound SMS has a much higher conversion rate than email does. So it's another way that some of our customers are actually taking advantage of both the inbound and the outbound SMS capability side. So I think that's a huge value add. Then also, if you think about service, while people are at work, if they need to communicate or see a video, you can just have it all housed right here in Conversations. So in terms of managed chat, we do all different, all different types of managed chat. We do self-managed, so we have our customers that have a BDC, and they're very good at answering those chats. We have after hours. We have hybrid if they don't pick up after X seconds. We have fully managed chat. You can do it on closed days, off days, or whatnot. So we can facilitate any of the managed chat side that the dealerships have. So our call center is based out of Detroit. That's where we use them to leverage our managed chat center again, so we can facilitate any of the conversations with those customers, depending on how the dealership is set up. One of the other really cool features on here is that we have an internal messaging platform and transfer. So if anyone uses Slack or HipChat or I'm trying to think of some other ones, Skype, we kind of built this tool for the dealership. So if you want an internal communication platform for the dealership, instead of using text or email, you can use our tool Conversations on the mobile app to communicate with everyone in the dealership. You can create different teams, whether it's service, parts, sales, management. And then also, if customers are having a conversation and they need to move from sales to service, we can easily seamlessly transfer those customers to the other fields or departments within the dealership right through the same conversation. Then on the mobile app side, so iOS and Android, really slick user interface. We actually use I use Conversations all the time because we use it on Dealer Inspire. So I answer chats from dealerinspire.com on my mobile phone at all hours because I get the push notification. So again, whether it's a conversation internally at the dealership or if you're going to do a vehicle walk around or anything like that, you'll never miss a chat, but what you can do is set your hours on there so the customers aren't getting chats when they are off. So again, it's a really slick interface, and we're constantly making updates to our mobile app side. And then, we are integrated with Facebook Messenger. One of the cool features, and I'll show you this a little bit later. I don't want to spoil the fun as we get to it, but we have some really cool features that we built in the Facebook Messenger with our bot functionality. So again, the premise of this is to house everything into one centralized platform so you can control all of your communications. And then we are integrated with Facebook Marketplace, so we can syndicate the customers' cars out to Marketplace, and then we can also answer if they use us for any of the managed chat, we can answer on their behalf, or if they answer them at the dealership, they can actually respond to those customers as well. But we're seeing, I'm sure you guys have been doing your research on chat, and Facebook Marketplace is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we are already set up on that, and with our partnership with Cars, we're actually the largest provider for Facebook Marketplace in automotive. Then also connecting on mobile, so Google My Business connection here. So as the customers are searching, they can communicate right through the GMB, and we can actually communicate with the customers right from there and have an SMS conversation. So we can make sure that we can touch the customer and funnel all communication into the Conversations platform through all the different mediums, whether it's Google My Business, Facebook Marketplace, SMS, advertising, or anything like that. We can all house that right down into our platform. And then when we get into reporting, I think we take a little bit different approach in terms of our reporting. We'll obviously give you guys reporting based off of conversions you know, how long it takes for them to answer, and things of that nature. But we also take it a step further, and we can also do sales matchback. So we can actually take your from an attribution standpoint, if you give us access, we can actually get an upload from your sales data, and then we can match from the attribution side if the customer was initiated through conversations, and then we can actually go back and tie that back in to see how many sales came specifically from chat. And then we can give you the total, the average gross profit on those deals, and then total, and then what the ROI is. So it's just a different way that we kind of take a look at the reporting side of it, which I think is really cool, because everyone will give you the, you know, chats answered, conversion and stuff like that. But in the end game, everyone wants to know how many vehicles are we selling from this. So I think it's a really cool feature that we have on there. Then we're also integrated, we're the chat provider for.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Quick question on that reporting.
Sure.
How many dealers are actually utilizing that sales data integration so that they know how many of the conversations are actually leading to close deals?
I'll have to get the exact reporting on it. I would say probably, you know, 30–40% of our clients are connecting the data. Some dealers are as you're probably aware, are protective of their data, so some of them don't want to do that. But we have a good amount of our dealers that are on there to actually connect the data. So all we do is just set it up once, and then we hit the file every day and it uploads. So it's once we make the connection, then it's all automated after that.
And Mike and Paul, just to add a note to that, we include this as part of our onboarding process. So we have a dedicated welcome team that will work with dealers to get this set up, or at least ask the question if they want to get this set up. So it's pretty seamless in the beginning of the process.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then, as I was mentioned, part of our parent company, Cars, so Conversation powers Cars.com as well. So I think we have north of 6,000 clients on the conversations on Cars.com as well. So if you think about where the customers are, so we can do Cars.com marketplace, also obviously the dealership website as well. So we're connecting the dots in terms of where the consumers are in the shopping process. So again, that's a really good partnership that we had. Obviously, once we partnered up with Cars.com, we've seen some great results on that. So one of the really cool tools that we have, and one of the different differentiators that Dealer Inspire has, is that we actually partnered with IBM Watson. So for anyone that is not familiar with IBM Watson, it's the computer that beat the humans on Jeopardy. So this is a really cool tool, and I'll get in to show you guys some of the stuff of what we're doing with this. But essentially what we're doing to partner with them is to actually take very simple tasks that we don't necessarily need to leverage a call center for, or if we can automate some things, whether it's trade-in values, scheduling service, test drives, and all that stuff. Because there's a lot of those are they're asking a question and we can scrape the site and give an answer after we've analyzed a lot of our chats. So there's some really cool stuff that we can do on there, but also you can use it as a kind of filtering system. Is when the customer comes on, we can then identify who needs to have the conversation, that we can send it to the right party. So here is some of the features that it can do is, you know, lead routing, hours of operation, gathering the leads, vehicle availability, incentives. So we can do unlock pricing is a cool feature. So a lot of our clients like to have an unlocked price functionality. After that, the customer gives them the information. We can then swap the pricing out. So we use the chat bot to actually facilitate that. So it's pretty cool feature that we have. And then we can do trade-in values and scheduling test drives and things of that nature. And I'll walk you through all this stuff. But one of the other cool things that we can do here is that IBM Watson actually measures sentiment of the consumer. So as it's learning, so you can imagine once we launch this on cars.com, and then, we powered, Facebook Marketplace as well, that it's, the machine learning side of it is always learning automotive speak. So as it continues to ingest all these conversations, we can actually measure sentiment of consumers. So what's cool about this is that if we know that a customer is angry, we can set up a team on the back end to actually get in front of this customer and route it to them from like the CSI perspective. And we can then automatically route it to a team to actually handle those customers. So again, some really, really cool functionality that we've built into it. And I think we're just at the beginning. We've had, Anna, it's our chatbot, it's called AnnaBot. So we've had it for about a year. I think we're just kind of on the cusp of really doing some really, really cool things. We do some cool things right now, but I think what we have on the roadmap is definitely some really, really cool features that we have out there. So I will hop out to the live demo here. Did you guys have any questions, any of that, before I actually go through and show you guys some of the features on here?
Does anyone have any questions? I think we're pretty blown away by the AnnaBot and the IBM feature, which is obviously really cool. Do you get a lot of positive feedback, or what's the feedback from retailers when you start to go through the IBM, Watson, AI type of approach that you guys have?
Yeah, it's a great question. We and I'll walk you through some of the functionality of kind of what it can do. We have some people that are absolutely in love with it, and that they embrace technology. Some dealers are just apprehensive, just purely on technology itself. So I think it's, once I go through and show you it, it's very simple. And with the speed that I can respond, again, as we analyzed our chats, and one of the reasons why we partnered with Watson is that a lot of the chats that we get on our platform are very simple, like what are your hours, and where are you located, and can I come in for a test drive, or can I come in for service? Like there's not like, we should just be able to leverage technology to either scrape the site and provide an answer, or just schedule on behalf of the consumer and do it very quick. Because just like page speed, I'm sure you guys hear about page speed all the time, as much as I do. Same thing with chat. And it's just, if you can get answers and provide it to them very quickly, then we see it, dealers love it. But again, it's more on the side of people that embrace technology instead of kind of shy away from it.
Some of the feedback that we get, or the numbers that we get from other providers, Mike, is they talk about how long the conversation is. Like, hey, we average 9 to 11 minutes or 10 to 12 minutes per conversation, hoping that proves, in a kind of a use case example, that they're having deeper conversations, that they're learning more about the customer, that it's more valuable to the consumer. Is that something that you guys are tracking at all, especially if you've got like an AI bot that's just, probably just built to get answers as quickly as possible? How do you guys approach that?
Yeah, no, great question. So we do track all that. So we'll give you guys reporting based off on average time of chat. I think the quicker that you can provide the answers to the consumer, I believe, is a better experience. However, if you're having a well-engaged conversation with a customer, and that you want to walk them through the purchase process or do a video chat with them, I think that also adds value. I think if you look at the overall length of those, a lot of the times the conversations that we look at is, if you can just get them the information that they're looking for. A lot of times people just don't want to talk to people, as ironic as that is. If I have when I do presentations, I always ask the room how many people like talking on the phone. You know, a lot of times you'll call customers or people or friends or family, and they won't pick up, but you'll get a text within 2 seconds, right? So I think it's just leveraging how people communicate, but I don't necessarily think the longer the duration is the best. Again, it could be, but I think our notion is to provide as much information as quick as possible.
I'm sure you'll get to this next part, but do you guys advertise that you are talking to a bot, or is that something that you don't necessarily disclose to the consumer?
We do. So we have, well, it depends. So we start all of ours out of the box, say, I'm Anabot and I'm here to help you. So we tell the consumer straight up front that you're talking with a chatbot, just so they understand, because there are limits. It's not fully conversational yet. So some people are, as they're talking, they throw out some very specific questions on it, which at that point it then kicks it to the call center. But we do out of the box say you are talking with a chatbot.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And then as I was on here, so one of the things that we do on here, so you notice that it says hi Mike. So I was already on here and I was playing around with the test site. So one of the cool things on here is that we have personalization aspect to it. So as soon as it can identify me as the consumer, we actually cookie that customer. So when they come back, they don't need to re-enter their information. So we already know that I was already on the site. So my experience is already personalized to, this customer. So if I come back, it'll say, hey, what can I help you out with? Whether it's sales, service, trade-in, hours, directions, or whatnot. So let's say I'm on the site and I want to go through and take a look at this vehicle, and I'm browsing this and I say, okay, I'm looking at this 2016 Acura RDX, and I wanted to get a trade-in value on that. So if I close this down and open this back up, and I'll say, all right, I'm looking at this and I see that you guys, have trade pending on here. So I'll just go through here and say, all right, I want to take a look at this vehicle. I don't want to talk to the dealership, but I want to get a trade-in value and say, all right, what is my vehicle worth? So I can then say, all right, I'm going to do a trade-in value. So now what we can do based off of this, now we can leverage the chatbot again, that we don't have to necessarily go through and actually call or go and fill out a form. If we think about barriers to entry, consumers just don't like filling out forms. So if I hit questions, now I can actually go through and have a conversation with our chatbot and actually facilitate a trade value. So one of the cool things that we do on this is that this actually works on Facebook Messenger as well. So it's actually the only native trade-in chatbot tool that you can actually do a facilitation of a trade value in Facebook Messenger. So now as it's going through, it's asking me questions, and then as soon as I put it in, it's going back to notice to ask me my year, the make, and that actually goes to the model. So now it says 2014 Toyota Tundra. It'll then spit back the trim values or the trims. So let's say I have a platinum, and now as I'm going through, and we can speed up the responses here. Most of the times we actually slowed it down because it was too quick. But the dealership can actually set the cadence of how quick the bot actually responds to it. So it's going through and getting all the information about my vehicle, and then it's going to ask how many miles I have. So I'll say 34K. So we actually partner with Trade Pending on this. So we actually leverage their API to actually go through and facilitate the trade value. So if it didn't recognize me, it would say, great, I have your trade value, let me gather your information. So then it would get the name and email address. And then would actually, once we captured that, then we would actually give the trade value, and then it would actually be emailed to the consumer. So it says, I have your trade value between 29 and 32. And then if I clicked on this bit.ly URL, it actually gives you the trade pending market report. So I can go through here, tell you the days supply, value to the dealer, the demand index, and then a trend line in terms of this actual vehicle. And then, you know, what it takes once we take this vehicle in, what it's going to cost to actually get it back for sale. So now if I'm on there and I get the trade-in value, I say, all right, cool. So now I have my trade-in value. Do I want to come in and schedule a test drive for this vehicle? So now I can actually go through here and say yes. Let's say I want to come in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So you can see that it identifies that tomorrow is the 27th at 3 o'clock, and then I would say yes. So now what it does is that I booked a trade-in, right? Or excuse me, I didn't book my trade-in. I got my trade-in value. I captured that as a lead, and then I also went and scheduled a test drive. And now once I did that, it sends the CRM a confirmation lead that I want to come in for a test drive tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So now I can say, all right, great. Now I have my trade-in, or excuse me, my test drive set up for tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Where are you located at? And now what it can do is that it takes my location and it can spit out directions to how I actually get to the dealership. And then if I wanted to ask another question, I can say, what are your hours? So again, as we leverage Watson, there's no need. These are like, if I'm asking a question, I can actually go through and give the information based off of what we have on the website. So I went through from looking at a vehicle to getting a trade value to scheduling a test drive to getting directions to the dealership, all without having to speak with anyone at the dealership or the call center for that matter. Do you guys have any questions on any of that, of what I just went through? Misha, you there?
Yep, Mike, I'm here.
Okay. Did we lose them?
Yes, it looks like they dropped off the participant list here.
So I can just walk through the logic here. So when I came back, I went through and scheduled a test drive through the chatbot. So I scheduled the test drive for tomorrow at 3. And basically what I did is I went through, I scheduled a test drive, confirmed the appointment. So once it actually gets the appointment, it sends it over as a lead to the dealership so it can schedule a test drive. And then after that, I asked where the directions are, and it provided me the directions to the dealership. And then I asked what the hours are to actually get there. So all that was facilitated through the chatbot.
I'm sure you'll cover this, Mike, but what percentage of conversations are completely handled by Anabot?
So we can take, Misha, I don't know if you have the stats right off the top of off your head, or if you have them right there, but I think when we first rolled it out, we could take roughly 40% from start to finish through the chatbot. And then, you know, the other ones we would actually get to move to the call center.
I don't have the exact metrics on that or the figures, but I can certainly check with our product owner and then circle back with you, Paul and team, on some of those details, if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A great question.
Yeah. Did you guys want me to go through? I can go through and rebuild that deal if you guys want to see it in action.
No, I think I think we get the basic kind of layout and how fast she responds and how that's obviously something the dealer can adjust if they want to respond faster or slower. I think the initial user interface of being able to click what section you're in, or I guess cost center you're in, it's pretty interesting as well. Do you guys keep track of, you know, where people are clicking from that like first, you know, the tool opens up and then they've got sales, service, trade-in, and do you share that with the dealer?
Yeah, so you're saying like kind of like a heat map based off of those.
Well, so if you were to open it back, if you were to completely like recache your browser and then start a completely new conversation, you have these like buttons that you can kind of select that, hey, I'm interested in sales or I'm interested in service, and it kind of, I guess, probably directs the consumer to a certain area.
Correct. Yep.
Do you guys keep stats and share that with the dealers to say, okay, it seems like you're getting a lot of conversations about this subject?
Yeah, so I mean, basically that'll be routed to the teams. Right now, we're actually revamping some of our reporting on that to actually give the actual specifics of what they actually click on within those kind of bubbles, whether it's sales, directions, trade-in, service, and just general. So we do have that's on the roadmap right now to actually revamp some of the reporting on that to actually give them where they click, but we can see based off of what they select within the reporting of the conversations history, we can see it basically classifies the different types of chat.
I think the tool. Sorry, go ahead, Misha.
I just wanted to add some context to that. So, Mike, if I can, and Paul for the team there, just from some internal discussions I've had and being here to see the progression and build out of conversations from, you know, almost launch through where it's at today. Believe it or not, you know, a lot of the conversations that come through are just going to be your basic, you know, hours and directions. But really, one of the other popular ones I've heard about is this vehicle available? In other words, is it still on the ground? Can I come in and see it before they actually make a trip over? And then Mike, as Mike pointed out, we're working on integrating some more detailed reporting. So the dealers that really love data and want to be data geeks and dive into the metrics can see how many clicks and conversions on those specific bubbles using Anabot.
It would seem like that dealer that is really data driven would love this tool because you've got so much integration with the bot, not only Anabot, but also IBM. Like, okay, what percentage of our consumers are visibly upset as shown by Watson, would be something that you couldn't maybe necessarily get from just a human interacting with a person, because they're going to interpret it probably just using their own judgment as opposed to real data that is standardized across the board. So that's a kind of interesting value proposition that you guys have there. Just wondering how deep you are going and taking that path. Has there been any sort of demand for it from the retailer side of things?
For sure. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is with any AI technology, machine learning, as you know, Anabot continues to learn, and as we ingest more data in hundreds and thousands of lines of code, it's only going to get smarter, better, faster, right? So the more we can learn from what actions are happening with consumers and how they're interacting with the dealership, the better this is going to get, which is really cool to think like where this could lead in the future.
Yeah, I think one of the really cool things and like a use case is that we were having a conversation with one of our clients the other day is that, again, if as I mentioned earlier, the full chatbot functionality is in Facebook Messenger as well. So if you think about how targeted you can get in terms of running Facebook ads, you can actually, we were running an ad for this customer that is basically, it's based off of just getting a traded value for your vehicle. So it's not, it's, you know, it's, the ad is get a trade value within 45 seconds. And as soon as they click on the ad, it launches the trade-in chatbot. So then they walk through that workflow and they get the lead and the customer gets a trade-in value. So if someone's trying to just get a ton of leads or just purchase vehicles, if you think about it in a different scope, you know, there's so many different ways that you can actually leverage the tool. And then, you know, as big as Messenger is going to be in Marketplace and all that stuff, you know, there's some really, really cool things that you can do with it.
Yeah, definitely. Can you guys briefly talk on the implementation and training stages that a retailer would go through?
Yeah, so once the customer signs up, obviously we want to make sure that we can get all of their departments set up. So get all the people that are going to be in sales, service, parts, and you know, everyone loaded in from the dealership. From there, we do a training with the customer in terms of the tool set of conversations. We also have a weekly training webinar for conversations. We have an extremely robust training portal at Dealer Inspire as well that we give everyone access to, so they can always log in here as well. And it has, you know, literally step-by-step directions on anything that we have, and you know, making sure that we set up, as Misha said earlier, if they want to, we always offer to connect the DMS data and getting all that stuff set up. So as we launch, then we make sure that everything is set up and ready to go through our welcome team and our wonderful implementation team for conversations.
How often are your account representatives reaching out to dealers to schedule reporting calls?
So we do, I mean, it really depends on the dealer. I think the default is we do monthly performance reviews if they don't, you know, depending on the cadence of when they want to have it set up. So we have, you know, the monthly performance review that the performance managers are mandated to do. But if they wanted to set up a different cadence, I know every dealership operates differently, but you know, that's kind of the default.
Awesome. I think I have one more question.
Sure.
As we go through this enrollment phase and launch, how can we best help you guys and leverage you guys to put you in the best position to get as many enrollments as possible?
That's a great question. I think just, you know, the support, and I know that we're going to be doing some webinars, and, you know, I don't know what the full timing is of, like, you know, do you guys have everyone that needs to have a chat provider by X date, or is it just kind of like a rolling enrollment, or what's the setup on that side?
Yeah, completely rolling. So once we actually hit the enrollment site going live, you could enroll anywhere from then until, you know, hopefully the program never ends, but until the program ends, theoretically. So we'll do a push in the beginning, and the push for us is going to be more focused on legacy and getting those retailers that have already signed up for your product to just come over, be a part of the program, keep their legacy pricing, all that type of stuff. And then obviously continue to reach out to other retailers that have shown interest in chat, or just making them aware of the program. But I think our primary focus for the first, you know, 60, 90 days is making sure that we get everybody who's enrolled in a chat provider currently to migrate over, and then figure out what we can do to have better conversations with those that aren't.
Yeah. So have you guys discussed with the brand? I know, and we've, in the past 2 years, I think Misha, I don't know, I mean, we've rolled out, seems like every other month, we're rolling out a shift program.
Yeah.
I think some of the ones that we saw that were successful is, and again, this is probably a brand question, but if they would be open to having 100% of their dealerships enrolled, whether it's 90 or whatever amount of days to at least have something. I don't know. Again, that's a brand question. I'd imagine there is an emphasis in terms of messaging and communication with the Subaru dealership. So if there's anything that they could do in terms of saying, all right, here's the deadline for you guys to sign up for this, that always gets things rolling much quicker than the rolling side. But again, that's a brand question for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Subaru kind of straddles the line between giving retailers what they want, but at the same time, they have a very, very recognizable brand that they protect. And so I think that this is trying to win both sides of that, where they can keep everything in alignment with, hey, this is what we expect from a Subaru brand perspective, while also giving retailers choice. I do know that they will be reaching out to their field representatives. They have multiple levels of field people, RMMs, trying to just make sure that they're aware, have those conversations. And I think that for this program on a shift side of things is going to be where we're going to put a lot of our focus from a relationship perspective, because when we're launching without websites, not every single retailer that is a Subaru retailer will necessarily be on this program. You don't have that requirement. If you decide not to be on a chat trade-in or digital retailing product, then you're not going to be necessarily having to enroll through our terms and conditions at this moment. So for us, it's like, okay, we're not going to be able to continue to call those retailers over and over again, or they're just going to get a really bad taste in their mouth about Shift and our team here. So it's leveraging the field people that we have. So there has been discussions about that at a high level. The actual execution of it and what that looks like over the next few weeks to months, kind of to be determined at this point, but it's definitely been talked about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think if you could connect us or Misha with the list of the regional folks, I can then pair them up with my regional team to kind of take a top-down approach, so they can. Again, I don't want them to be going, I don't want to say pestering, but going after the regional folks. But if we can make those introductions, then we can, because they're always in market visiting dealers, so we can just say, hey, I'm going to be in Austin this weekend. Is there any people that you guys need me to go see or anything like that? I think that would be a good workflow.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. We're working through a kind of a provider communication deck right now, which will hopefully have as much of this information as possible for you guys to be able to utilize going forward.
Okay.
Any other questions that we have? Feels to me like conversations as an application is obviously really cool, and where it's going in the future is, I think it's only going to get better as the code becomes stronger. Also feels like the way that Dealer Inspire's kind of value proposition this is, the more tools that you're in from a dig ad perspective to a website perspective to a conversations perspective to a online shopper perspective, the more those are going to integrate together to create a better user experience for the customer, as well as more data for the dealer. So I think that's kind of an interesting approach that you guys have that's different than other providers out there. So really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to walk through the product. I'm kind of excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we do just your last point. I mean, obviously we want to build connective tissue within products because there's so much, siloed siloedness in the space. But we do, I mean, we are agnostic to, obviously you guys are aware, but we do have people that, you know, we want to be best of the best in each of our tools. And then obviously, if you just so happen to use some of our other tools, we want to create some other value adds as well. So, but yeah, no, I think, you know, thank you for taking the time, and we're excited. I know Subaru, again, from my previous life, I know that Subaru is a great brand to work with. So we're excited to be part of the Subaru family and see what we can do to help communication on the Subaru website.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for your time again. Misha, if you could send over this webinar, that would be great. It'd help us just kind of review, prepare, digest. But in the meantime, if you guys, if we have any questions, I'm sure we can probably follow back up with you, but we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Paul. Mike, thanks a lot for taking the team through this. I really appreciate it. Paul, thanks for inviting us today. We're thrilled to be partnered with you guys and Subaru. As we know, it's a pretty exciting brand with very loyal brand advocates and customers. We really are looking forward to growing the partnership with Shift and Subaru retailers nationwide. So thanks again for having us spend some time with you today.
Not a problem at all. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Great. Thanks.